All right, so the Fox News Dominion trial was supposed to start today, but the judge involved has now pushed it to tomorrow amid reports that apparently Fox behind the scenes is really pushing to try to settle this thing. Let's go ahead and put the second element up here first, guys. This is the Wall Street Journal report. E2 put this up on the screen. Fox News defamation trial delayed amid network's push to settle dispute. They go into some of the details here. They say they've made a late push to settle the dispute out of court. By the way, you know, Wall Street Journal owned by Murdoch, so right. Probably pretty reliable information that they're getting here from whoever their source is. People familiar with the situation said Sunday, as with any case, the parties also could choose to settle at any point during the trial. They have some of the analysis here. They say legal observers say the Dominion case could prove to be a notable counterexample to prior attempts to go after news organizations for reporting things that turned out to be inaccurate. The company comes to trial riding momentum. They're talking about Dominion. The presiding judge has already concluded that Fox News and Fox Business did, in fact, broadcast false claims about Dominion, voiced by both network hosts and Trump associates, including Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani, who appeared as guests. So that was actually really noteworthy in a pretrial decision that Dominion doesn't even have to prove during the trial that the claims were false. That's being taken for granted.
Yes.
Fox no longer has that defense available to them. And there were a number of other decisions that went against Fox, including they were sanctioned for not accurately portraying Rupert Murdoch's role and title at Fox, and also for not being forthcoming in discovery and handing over to Dominion all of the relevant, documents, text, recordings, et cetera. So we'll see how this goes. It's very difficult to prove this sort of defamation case against a news organization, as it certainly should be. You have to prove what's called actual malice, which is that you knew that what you were saying was wrong and you intentionally did it anyway. So the reason as a high bar is you basically have to get inside of these producers and hosts and the whole news organization's heads and reveal, and persuade a jury that they really knew this was wrong, and then they went ahead and did it anyway. So it is a very difficult bar to clear, but it sounds like Fox is nervous enough, given the fact that they're trying to settle, or they just don't want the embarrassment of the public trial. But I think they've got to be nervous about the actual potential legal decision that would be made here.
There's been movement on both sides, because I'm not sure if you saw, but they amended their legal filing to say that they would not present jury with claims for alleged lost profits. And originally, they were just seeking lost profit damages of not less than $600 million. So they're having the price of what a potential settlement could be. And that could also be an easy way for Fox to come in and just say, all right, look,
let's just take care of this.
We'll never know how much they paid, or at least officially. I'm assuming it will come out. Another thing that is important for people to understand, as I have been learning a little bit about this, in some cases, I don't know in the specific cases, when media organizations settle, insurance companies pay for it. Whenever you go to trial, then actually it comes out of your actual budget. So it is possible that they could have some defamation or legal liability insurance that would kick in here, and that it may even be also that their insurance companies, to the extent that they might have a burden sharing agreement that they have signed here, is basically pressuring them, being like, we're going to drop you if you don't go ahead and settle this case because we don't want to expose our liability in the future. Just an important thing to note about how a lot of media liability insurance actually works. It's one of the reasons why in some cases where they do face jeopardy, they just go ahead and settle it because they don't actually have to pay for it.
Yeah.
It comes out of your insurance policy.
Well, this is also a public company. Who knows what shareholders are pressuring them to do as well. I mean, because this has already been hugely embarrassing for them. I think the most embarrassing revelation that has come out is how powerless they are. How little influence they actually have with the Republican base at this point, and how threatened they really felt by these sort of like junky upstarts, One American News Network and Newsmax. So to me, in terms of a business perspective, that's probably the most embarrassing thing. And you can't put that cat back in the bag. But needless to say, if you go forward with a trial and you have the specter of some of your top hosts who have huge brands and provide your company with huge value having to testify on the stand, first of all, that's a huge circus, and second of all, that's a huge risk you're taking in terms of the brand of your company. So we've been waiting for a while now for why aren't they just going to settle this thing? Because if it goes to court, even if they end up prevailing on the other side, it could be incredibly damaging to their business and their brand. To show you how bad this has been leading up to the trial and how a number of important decisions have already gone against Fox News with regards to this trial, Howie Kurtz, who's their media reporter, he's got his own show, I believe it's on Sundays. He had previously been told he couldn't report on this at all, which he commented on publicly. He was unhappy that he'd been given this dictate, like, you can't report on this publicly. Apparently, they've lifted that dictate because he did do his own breakdown of what he described as a very rough week for Fox, and also revealed he had plans to travel to Delaware to directly cover this trial himself. Take a listen to what he had to say.
The trial in the high-profile Dominion Voting Systems lawsuit against Fox begins tomorrow in Delaware. And let's face it, much of the mainstream media is rather openly rooting for Fox to lose. I can assure you that I will provide fair and down-the-middle coverage of this $1.6 billion suit about coverage of false election fraud claims in 2020, despite the fact that I work here. And with that, it's been a very rough week for Fox. Judge Eric Davis imposed a sanction on the network, said he would likely start an investigation of whether its legal team withheld evidence, and would very likely name a special master to handle that probe. One part of Dominion's objection, that Fox didn't disclose that Rupert Murdoch has two titles, chairman of Fox Corporation and executive chairman at Fox News. That one basically an honorary title. Abby Grossberg, a now fired Fox producer from Maria Bartiromo, who has filed a separate lawsuit against Fox, said in the filing that she had audio recordings of Bartiromo pre-interviewing Trump lawyers Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell. Dominion accused Fox of withholding that evidence, but a Fox spokesperson said the network didn't even know about these tapes until March 20th, then accessed Grossberg's phone and provided them within 15 days. That's not all. In other pretrial rulings, Judge Davis undercut part of Fox's defense. The judge said Fox News cannot argue that it carried false allegations of election fraud by Trump allies because they were newsworthy. Judge Davis said, just because someone is newsworthy doesn't mean you can defame someone. In a ruling favorable to Fox, the judge said Dominion cannot bring up January 6th except in the most narrow circumstances because the Capitol riot is not part of the trial.
I don't know, Krystal. I just think that broadly looking at all of the facts of the case, they should have settled this a long time ago, way before the reputational damage of the text messages and the audio of the phone calls that have come out. I do also think a lot of it probably comes down to Rupert Murdoch's ego, talking about previously with Feinstein with 90-year-olds. He's 92 years old. He's
in poor health.
Yeah, in poor, like, not just poor health. Like, we read off that list. It's like bad back. Like, anyway. I was telling you recently, I was reading this biography of Sumner Redstone, who was the billionaire CEO of Paramount, of a CBS Viacom.
Yeah.
And when they get to that age, the level of impressionability that they have around them and the assets that they have, they are so easily they're so easy to manipulate that you almost feel bad for that, even though in many cases, much like Murdoch himself, they surround themselves with all these fiancés who are much younger than them and have access to a lot of their cash. But the point was, and one of the points of that book was, that how many of the people in the apparatchiks around Redstone would use his impressionability at a very old age to try and pressure him into bad business decisions.
Yeah.
And frankly, I see something very similar here.
You do see that. Gabe Sherman piece that we looked at last week had some of those details where it really looked like, Rupert would say whatever he wanted Fox News to do, and he'd get kind of like a pat on the head.
Yeah, everyone's like, that's nice,
And then
Rupe.
Suzanne Scott would, do whatever she thought was going to drive ratings. And that's just really clearly what happened here based on their own words. They dabbled in, let's be honest about the election. Their ratings tanked. They freaked out about Newsmax. And then, they turn on a dime and they're like, yeah, I guess we gotta go along with the insanity because we've got no other choice. And now they're facing not only this particular lawsuit, there's also a $2.7 billion defamation suit from Smartmatic. They had to settle a different defamation lawsuit that was brought by some random Venezuelan businessman that got smeared as all a part of this that they had to settle out of court as well. Now, are any of these sums going to bring Fox News down? No. Do they want to pay, a $1 billion settlement or whatever? Of course not. It definitely hurts. That's enough money that it definitely hurts. But is it going to bring them down? No. I think the biggest risk here is the reputational damage, much of which they've frankly already sustained.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.